What do you think about David Parker? When David heard this question, he continued listening to the phone conversation. His former boss Richard's answer explained why he couldn't find a job for 2 years. David, a 35-year-old experienced marketing specialist, had been unable to get a positive response from dozens of job applications since leaving his company 2 years ago. Everything went well in the initial interviews. Employers were impressed, but he always got the same answer: "We'll get back to you." The callback never came. That morning, while looking at job postings in his home office, his phone rang. Since it was an unknown number, he didn't answer but curiously put it on speaker mode. The phone was connected to the speaker and the conversation was clearly audible. "Mr. Richard, we're requesting reference information about David Parker. We're considering hiring him." David's heart raced. The caller was Sarah from Tech Hub Human Resources. This was the company he had interviewed with last week. Richard was his former boss, the general manager of digital marketing solutions. "Ah, David?" said Richard, with a cold tone in his voice. "Let me give you my honest opinion. David is technically competent, but problematic in character. His work discipline is weak. He creates problems in teamwork. Especially when he oversteps his authority, he can be very aggressive." David's mouth fell open. None of it was true. "Also," Richard continued, "he's not reliable when it comes to protecting company secrets. We suspected he leaked our project details to a competitor company. We couldn't prove it, but—" "I understand," said Sarah. "In that case, we'll need to reconsider." "Of course, the decision is yours," said Richard with fake politeness. "But my advice would be to look for more reliable candidates." When the phone hung up, David froze in his chair. This was the reason for the nightmare he had been living for 2 years. Richard was systematically sabotaging him. David's story at Digital Marketing Solutions dated back 5 years. It was his first serious job after graduating from college. Richard was very different back then, appearing to be a supportive boss. "You'll go very far in this business," he would say. "Trust me and focus on learning." The first years were really good. David learned quickly, ran successful projects, and brought in one of the company's most important clients. He had become Richard's favorite employee. Richard gave him salary increases, bonuses, and even the company car. But in the 3rd year, things started to change. David was now more experienced and confident. He began questioning some of the company's wrong decisions and suggesting better alternatives. Richard didn't like this situation at all. "David, you're starting to get too much in the spotlight," he said one day. "We have teamwork here, not star play." David understood this warning but had no intention of changing. Because his suggestions were really benefiting the company. Customer satisfaction was increasing, sales were rising, job offers from other companies had even started coming. At that point, Richard's true face emerged. He started excluding David from important meetings. He gave his projects to others. He took credit for his successes and magnified his mistakes. The final blow came with the Megacorp project, the company's biggest client. David had prepared a campaign presentation for months, but Richard took it from him the day before the meeting and presented it under his own name. The campaign was a huge success, but all the praise went to Richard. "I managed this project from start to finish," said Richard, presenting to the board of directors. David sat in the back of the room, watching his boss lie. That night, when David returned home, he told his wife Jennifer about the situation. "This man is using me," he said. "He's stealing my successes and then cornering me." "Quit," said Jennifer. "It's not worth this much stress. You can find work elsewhere, too." After thinking for a week, David decided to resign. When he met with Richard, his boss wasn't surprised at all. "Right decision," he had said in a cold voice. "This place wasn't suitable for your character anyway. You're more, how should I put it, someone who likes to work independently." "There won't be a problem with references, right?" David had asked. Richard had smiled. But that smile wasn't sincere at all. "Of course, you learned a lot here. I'll share this experience fairly too." That fair sharing had been turning David's life into a nightmare for 2 years. After hearing the phone conversation that day, David started a systematic investigation. He reviewed all his past job applications and identified which companies had done reference checks. Then he called these companies one by one as a human resources specialist and asked Richard for information about himself. The results were horrifying. Richard was telling the same lies every time. Undisciplined, unreliable, not suitable for teamwork. Sometimes he added the suspicion of leaking company secret story. Sometimes he made up the lie about inappropriate relationships with clients. David started recording these conversations. Within 2 weeks, he secretly listened to reference checks from 7 different companies. All of them had the same smear campaign. But David didn't just collect evidence. He also started investigating Richard's own background. He talked to former employees at Digital Marketing Solutions and examined the company's financial situation. What he learned was very interesting. Richard's success story turned out to be largely fake. The company's big projects had been won thanks to the clients David brought in. After David left, the company had started losing major clients. Their financial situation was deteriorating. The number of employees was decreasing. More importantly, 4 more people had resigned from Digital Marketing Solutions after David's departure. When he talked to these people, he saw that they all told similar stories. Richard would first use talented employees, then sabotage them, and finally blacklist and fire them. "This guy is a psychopath," said his former colleague Steve. "He can't stand anyone more talented than himself. I got the same treatment, but it didn't last as long as yours." David now knew what he needed to do. But this wouldn't be just personal revenge. It would be a systematic justice operation. The first move was to go to Megacorp, Digital Marketing Solutions' biggest client. David met directly with Marketing Director Michael. "I want to show you something," David said, putting the file he had prepared on the desk. "I was the real architect of the campaign made for you 2 years ago." The file contained original strategies, drafts, and email exchanges prepared in David's handwriting. David's signature was on every stage of the campaign. Michael's facial expression changed as he examined the file. "This is a serious accusation," he said. "Richard said he did this project entirely himself." "That's not all," said David. "There's other evidence I want to show you." For the next hour, David showed how Richard systematically stole others' successes. Megacorp's other successful campaigns were also largely the work of David or other employees. "So what do you want now?" Michael asked. "Justice," said David, "and for Megacorp to reconsider its contract with Digital Marketing Solutions." A week later, Megacorp terminated its contract with Digital Marketing Solutions. The official reason was announced as decline in service quality, but the real reason was Richard's lies being exposed. David's second move required more strategy. He submitted the recordings proving reference sabotage to the employment court. His lawyer, Lisa, said the case was strong. "This is systematic mobbing and defamation," said Lisa. "Also, preventing you from finding work is a legal crime. We can file a compensation lawsuit." But David had thought of a smarter way. Instead of filing a lawsuit, he presented the evidence directly to Digital Marketing Solutions' upper management. The company owner, Robert, was shocked when he met with David. "I didn't know Richard had gone this far," he said. "He's caused a lot of damage to this company." "Not just to me," said David. "How many valuable employees have you lost because of this?" Robert thought. Indeed, many talented people had left in the last 2 years. Now he understood the reason. "So what do you want from us?" he asked. David smiled. "Richard to go, and my references to be corrected." 3 days later, Richard was fired due to company restructuring. Robert offered David to come back, but David refused. "I have other plans now," he said. He really did. David had teamed up with other talented employees who had left Digital Marketing Solutions to start his own agency, Phoenix Creative. The name wasn't coincidental. The company rising from the ashes. Phoenix Creative's first client was Megacorp. The second was other big clients that Digital Marketing Solutions had lost. As David's reputation was restored, other companies began to trust him. 6 months later, Phoenix Creative had become the city's fastest-growing marketing agency. Digital Marketing Solutions continued to lose clients due to Richard's sabotage. One day while David was working in his office, his secretary said there was a visitor. Richard stood at the door, with no trace of his former arrogance. "David, can we talk?" David let him in. Richard had changed a lot, looking stressed and aged. "Look, David," he said, "I made mistakes in the past, but now I'm looking for work and you're sabotaging my references." David was surprised. Me? When? Last week, Creative World called. You told them bad things about me. David started laughing. Richard, I haven't said anything bad about you to anyone. I told the truth. You ruined my life for 2 years. I just ensured justice found its place. Richard's face reddened. This is revenge.
No, David said calmly. This is natural consequence. If you do evil, evil returns to you. I'm not actively harming you. It's just that when people learn the truth, they don't trust you. As Richard was leaving, he stopped at the door. Will you never forgive me? David thought. Forgiving and forgetting are different things. I no longer hold a grudge against you, but I can't trust you either. This industry is small. Everyone knows everyone. Once reputation is lost, it's very hard to regain. A year later, David was giving a speech at a business conference. The topic was ethics and justice in business. At the end of his speech, he said, "Sometimes we suffer injustice. Sometimes others' evil affects us. But remember, truth always comes out. Be patient, keep doing what's right. Justice may come late, but it always comes." Jennifer, sitting in the hall, watched her husband with pride. They had come a long way from those dark days 2 years ago. David had not only achieved his own justice, but also helped others find the right path. On their way home that night, Jennifer asked, "Do you regret it?" "Regret what?" "Spending so much time on this." David smiled. "No, if I had stayed silent, Richard would have continued to victimize other people. Sometimes you have to take action to ensure justice." And it really was so. Phoenix Creative continued to grow, and David's fight for justice inspired other victims too. Sometimes you have to fight the bad guys. The important thing was to fight this battle with the right methods.